Hey guys, Amber here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sewing this absolutely stunning dress by Saga Patterns. This is her Ella dress and I feel like this is one of the most beautiful dresses I've ever had on, and definitely the most beautiful dress I've ever made. I made this dress for a special occasion that will be coming up soon, and I'm so excited to wear it because it's absolutely stunning. It turned out so beautifully. I had some trials while putting this together because I would consider myself a beginner to intermediate sewist. I'm not someone who's used to sewing patterns. I'm used to just slightly tailoring my own clothes, but not actually sewing from a pattern. I started this year with pattern sewing, so there was a lot of finicky pieces and instructions when it came to putting this dress together, and you needed to take a lot of care when putting it together. This is just such a stunning silhouette, such a stunning dress. I recommend trying it if you have not already. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get to sewing. So I began by cutting out my pattern pieces, of course, and this part of putting this dress together took much longer than I expected. I was cutting out pattern pieces all day long this day. I started cutting out pattern pieces around the 10:30 hour, and I did not finish until about 2:30 or so. So it took me roughly 4 hours to cut out all of the pattern pieces. And needless to say, I was pretty exhausted by the end of it. So I came back into my studio at night after my husband and I put my son down and got to sewing up this dress finally. What you see me doing here is adding stay tape to the underarm area of the bodice. My stay tape is not a heat adhesive stay tape. You just sew it right on. So I'm doing that on that V area on that underarm bodice. So I am now attaching the front bodice to the back bodice, like so. After attaching the front bodice to the back bodice for both the right and left side, my pieces were a little bit off, so I had to scale down that overhang, which she did mention might happen in her instructions. I just didn't expect it to be so drastic. So I went ahead and did that and just graded that down, and it worked out perfectly fine. I then went and serged both of those seams that I just had sewn. So now I am attaching the side bodice and side sleeve to one another. This part I remember I was very confused by, and I wasn't sure on how the construction was going to work, but it all came together in the end. It's so interesting seeing how this pattern maker puts her patterns together, but it all made sense in the end and looked so beautiful. Essentially, this piece is going to be nestled between the front bodice and the back bodice. I have now pinned the front bodice, side bodice, and back bodice together with the side bodice sandwiched between both the front and back bodice. And what you see me doing here is being very careful around that armpit area where you saw me add stay tape earlier in the video. Essentially, you are stretching that out straight so that it fits that straight edge of the side bodice and side sleeve. Alright, you guys, so it's a couple days later. You saw me complete this portion of the bodice. It is coming together. Things are taking shape. This was the part I was most nervous about, was putting together this whole bodice situation, because it was a little bit tedious, but got it put together thankfully. So I am going to now do some basting stitches going across the bodice back and the bodice front and start to get those gathers together. So that's going to be my next step. So I'm excited to go ahead and continue this. So I'm just gonna set these things here aside. I'm gonna set this to 5mm in stitch length. So that's the longest that mine goes. So I've got 2 rows of basting stitches, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat those steps to the other side of the bodice. I am now pinning the skirt front and back together for both the right and left side, and I will then sew and serge all of those pieces together. After I am done sewing and serging the front and back skirts together, I will then attach them to one another with the center front and center back seam, while repeating those steps of sewing and serging those together as well. So what you see me doing here is making some very important markings so that I can properly attach the bodice to the skirt without any discrepancies. She has very specific instructions on the measurements of where to put these markings so that when you are attaching the bodice to the skirt, ideally everything will line up perfectly with that center seam and look flawless. And I'm happy to say that it did turn out looking really good. And you will see that where the front bodice, the side bodice, and back bodice are attached, I have a bit of overhang on both the front and the back bodice, but I added those ease lines in so that when I'm sewing, it's going to be nice and straight and I could just cut off that extra overhang. I am now attaching the zipper to the back seam of the dress, and this is my first time sewing a zipper into a dress, so I was really nervous, and this is supposed to be an invisible zipper. For it being my first time, I am happy with the results. I do wish that it was fully invisible after I was done sewing it in. It wasn't, but it doesn't look bad. So I know that the more zippers that I sew into garments, the better that I will get. I also went ahead and sewed that seam right beneath the zipper, and you're seeing here now what I meant. You could see the zipper clearly, but it looks neat. The back seams didn't line up completely. At first I was frustrated, but I decided don't beat yourself up over something that you're learning to do for the very first time. It's okay. You now see me pressing that center tie strap for the bow and sewing that together. Here you see that I am sewing together the bias tape for the neck binding. She has this interesting zigzag shape that is going to turn into a V-neck binding, which I thought was pretty cool. So I'm pressing this binding in place as you would any normal binding and attaching that to the dress very carefully to make sure everything is lined up and looking as seamless as possible. I am now attaching that binding to the neckline very carefully. And what I didn't show on camera was that in order to attach the back side of that neckline binding, I did hand stitch all the way around first to get everything in place, and then I top stitch with my machine. I also attached the bow strap that I made to the center of the dress, as well as an hook and eye closure on the back top part of the dress where the zipper doesn't quite close together. And all that I have left to do is to hem my dress, and my beautiful, stunning, amazing Ella dress is finished. What do you guys think? This dress is just so elegant, whimsical, ethereal, and simply beautiful, and I cannot wait to wear it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart for watching. God bless you guys, and I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day.